having you on Sahara TV again. Dele, Farotimi.
Always a pleasure being with you.
Let's take a deep dive into this discussion. First, recently, Buhari had an interview with the President General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, and he was asked to rate his performance on the three key metrics: anti-corruption, economy, and security, upon which he campaigned. And despite the widespread insecurity and the worsening economic situation in Nigeria, the president says his administration is leaving Nigeria in a far better place than they found it. What's your response to this?
But he said the truth.
How do you mean?
Okay. The truth is sometimes not what we think it is. It is what the speaker of the truth believes the truth to be. If the speaker of the truth elects to be subjective in stating the truth, what you need to do is take a man at his word and then properly dissect what he is saying to you. The man says he's leaving Nigeria in a by far better state than he met it in relation to the anti-corruption battle, the economy, and security. But he's told you the truth. The question is, what does better mean within the context of General Buhari's usage? I think we should be careful to listen to the man and take him at his word. Incidentally, I believe it was 4 or 5 years ago, you know, Facebook and the internet has a memory worse than an elephant. So I was checking my memories this morning, and I saw a place where I had said, just indulge me for a second.
Please take your time.
I said, the only reason why General Buhari has not done anything about the insecurity and the several stress. Okay, so I said on June 25th, 2018, I said, why has it been impossible for Buhari to stop the killings in the Jos Plateau? I asked that question and I then answered it. I said complicity and rank indifference. This was back in 2018, 4 years ago. I said that. I think on the same day, on the very same day, I said Plateau, Taraba, Benue, when will enough be enough? And at what point would Buhari and his apologists admit that he is both incompetent and complicit? This was said on June 25, 2018. That is 4 years ago. That is because I was judging Buhari based on the objective realities that I could see. Buhari would believe that he has succeeded insofar as security is concerned because Buhari is the principal destabilization agent in the Nigerian state. Buhari does not configure the interest of the Nigerian state or interpret them in the same way that you and I interpret them. The principal motivation behind Buhari's exertion at any point in time is not what is good for Nigeria, it is what is good for the Fulani. So when you begin to interpret his words within the prisms of those interpretations, you use those parameters to interpret his words, you begin to understand why he would tell you that the security situation in Nigeria today is better than he met it. It is better within the context of the Fulani's design for Nigeria, which is a design of conquest. So the security architecture of Nigeria has been compromised to the point where the Fulanis are running riot across the length and breadth of Nigeria. So yes, Buhari is quite correct within the context of his own strategic objective in saying that he has left Nigeria security-wise better than he met it. So let's be clear about that. It is when you elect to interpret it based on your own expectations of Mr. or General Muhammadu Buhari that you end up with your fallacious conclusions. You must take the man at his words. and stop finding reasons beyond what he has offered you. That is one. When you look at anti-corruption, Buhari could never afford corruption. There was no way Buhari could afford corruption. It is delusional for anyone to have expected Buhari to fight corruption. How could he afford corruption? The APC is a conglomeration of base crooks, outright thieves, and political contractors and jobbers. Same as the PDP that it supplanted at the federal level. There is no difference between them. They cross carpet every day. How could they afford corruption? Tinubu is fundamental to the creation of the APC. There is nobody more criminal in reflexes and intention than Bola Tinubu. Is about capturing a state. So how could you have expected Buhari to fight corruption? So when he said he is leaving Nigeria in a better place, what he's telling you is that he has successfully instituted the reign of impunity where people sit on the throne of corruption and are preaching probity. In the history of this country, it has never happened that so many integrity challenged persons are sat in the federal cabinet. It has never happened. Even in the 8 days of the PDP, it was decent enough, shamed enough to try to pretend not to be corrupt. Buhari has proven the lies of the noise of anti-corruption. Anyway, that is to those who imagined that he was going to be doing any anti-corruption. Go back to my essay published in The Guardian in February 2015. Before his election, I made it clear he wasn't going to do jack. Shola Saraki was there. Mr. Panama Papers. Tinubu was there. Oji Uzokalu. Every odious collection. It was always a motley crew of thieves. So yes, he has done well because he has given immunity to each and every one of his class. So whether they are in PDP, APC, it doesn't matter anymore. There is class impunity for the Nigerian reigning class. So what he has done successfully is to extend impunity across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Even the Supreme Court is no longer insulated. So how could it be anything but successful with his anti-corruption circus? He's been very, very successful, and he's right to rate himself as he has done. The other one is the economy. You see, I spoke extensively over time to the weaponization of poverty. And a lot of people tend to listen to me, but they don't understand what I am saying to them. And I've also explained how the weaponization of poverty is aligned to the weaponization of ignorance. And I've explained how the two are integral to the preservation of the state of impunity, which is required to maintain the feudal state. Because Nigeria is essentially a feudal state. There are laws for a certain class, there's another for another class, so you don't have citizenship in that space. So when Buhari says that he has been successful with the economy, he's telling the truth. He has successfully weaponized poverty in Nigeria. He came in as clueless as they said Jonathan was, and he was truly clueless because he meant well, but he was clueless. But this one, he never meant well for me and you or for the average Nigerian. He always meant poverty for each and every one of us because that is what his class requires to maintain his hold on power. He met dollars at 150. Today, dollar is 611. The gullible, useful idiots who are selling their votes for 10,000 naira in Ekiti. Before Buhari came to power, that 10,000 naira would have bought them a bag of rice. Today, it wouldn't even get them up to a quarter of a bag. Or, I think maybe a third of a bag. That's all they will get for the 10,000 naira that they sold their votes for. But they have been rendered sufficiently impecunious, hungry, and impoverished to the point where the 10,000 naira meant something to them because there is nothing to their vote any longer. So Buhari is correct. He has sufficiently weaponized poverty. He has left the economy in shambles. He has destroyed the manufacturing basis. Yes, he met a bad situation, but he has damaged it irreparably. I've said it before and I'll repeat it.
Now, let me get your view on this, and based on your analysis, in summary, what kind of legacy will President Major General Muhammadu Buhari be leaving behind as we head to 2023 general elections?
Buhari is the best thing to have ever happened to Nigeria. So I thank him for that.
Wouldn't that be an irony to say he's the best thing to have happened to
Well, anything that serves to dispel illusions, that serves to clarify issues, that serves to clarify them as well, should be commended. His brazen nepotism, his inability to play the Nigerian game of hypocrisy. He has never managed to hide his ethno-religious bigotry. He has shown by his extremities that Nigeria had been existing on lies and pretenses. The person in office, the character of the person in office, to a very large extent, blinded a lot of Nigerians to the structural inequities and deficiencies. But his own crass nepotism is very unapologetic about his nepotism. It has helped to highlight the structural imbalances, the inequities, the injustices, because his reactions and reflexes are completely prebendal in nature, very, very, very myopic in the extreme. At all points in time, if you are not speaking Fufude, you better be speaking Hausa, and you had better make sure that you are a Muslim, a fundamentalist for that matter, and then you are acceptable to him.
What is your reading of the political turf in relation to those who the parties have actually presented as their presidential candidates, from Tinubu, Atiku, whom you've given the appellation Etiku, so to speak, and Peter Obi?
Let me put it this way. Atiku, or Etiku as I prefer to call him, because me, I'm not going to personalize Iku. Once you use the ha in Yoruba language, you've personalized. So me, I'm not one of the Atiku brigade. I'm not dying anytime soon if it pleases my maker. So I prefer to use Etiku. For those who have embraced him, they might jolly well decide to die with him. That's their own wahala. My own point is this. Etiku has been in the public space long enough, and he's been properly defined in that space. He's a man closer to 80 than 70. Nigeria is a young nation. Or rather, sorry, I fell into that error. It's a young country because it's not a nation. It's a collection of nations. It certainly does not require the baggage of an old man, integrity challenged, whose co-accused is in jail somewhere. It cannot be that our president requires state immunity before he might travel to certain parts of the world. That does not make any sense. That is aside from all the integrity baggage. His former principal, Obasanjo, defined him properly enough. Not that Obasanjo is exactly a gospeller of truth, but he has sufficiently defined, they defined themselves in the public space sufficiently for us not to have to debate him. The APC candidate, on the other hand, Chief Emilokan, the fact of the matter is that it speaks volume about the kind of country we have become if a major political party, quote and unquote, would present him as his presidential flag bearer. But again, I repeat what I have said severally. One, I don't consider him a candidate. When you watch the unfolding political realities in northern Nigeria, even now, when we are still like 8 months away from the election, you will know that those who placed him on the throne that they've dug all around, they knew what they were doing. He just fell into that game. But that's political permutations about winnability or not. But I had said back in February 2020, February 24th to be exact, I had occasion to dredge it up recently. And I said at the time, and I posted it on my social media handle recently, I said, for the record, if it pleases God to keep me alive, and Nigeria were to find itself in the unfortunate position of having Bola Ahmed Tinubu succeed Muhammadu Buhari, I will proceed on exile before it will be sworn in, and shall thereafter renounce my Nigerian citizenship with uncommon alacrity. I said this before the NSAS protests. I said this before his role became known. I said it before we became aware of the full extent of the criminality of the Lagos state government, the LCC, controlled by the Lagos state government and Tinubu's nominees. I said all of this before I became aware of a murder plot on my life by elements of the Lagos crime family. I said this before I had raised a petition to the Nigerian police, which I submitted in the office of Akeem Odumosu, who is today part of the park management in Lagos State. I said this at the time before I submitted a petition naming the names of those involved in trying to murder me in Lagos State. I said this because I understand the unholy triumvirate in Lagos State, the trinity between the criminal state, the Nigerian police, and the crime families and elements on the street of Lagos State. I said all of this in February 2020. I said so because I know that the reflexes of the powers that be in Lagos State are essentially criminal. It's not about being corrupt. Corruption is not unique to Lagos State. But if I submitted a petition I think this was, interestingly, it was later in 2020, I believe, I submitted a petition naming names. The commissioner of police at the time, to whom that petition was submitted, is part of park management today under MC Mushroom Picking. Now you tell me that someone like me can coexist in a state like Lagos, already criminally captured and controlled by Tinubu and his gang. I can coexist in the same state if he becomes the president of Nigeria. I'll be a fool to hang around. He'll be suicidal. I said this long before he gained the ticket of his party. So when people are interpreting what I said in 2020, they need to be placing it in context to understand clearly that unlike them who are reacting in time, I spoke in the womb of time, understanding the existential evil with which I am dealing. But I really don't believe that he stands any chance of winning. That's the truth. Where is he going to win? Where? Even this Lagos State, let me be very clear. A viable candidate comes out for governorship in Lagos, Dele Farotimi is going to be behind that candidate, campaigning clearly to the hearing of all and sundry. There is enough of this criminal capture of a state. It has to end someday. And we have to draw the line somewhere. And I think this is actually where it gets drawn. It's the Icarus hubris. Just because you've captured one state, extended territory to other parts, what good does it do? And then some idiots will be telling me Yoruba Ronu, Yoruba Lokan. What kind of Yoruba Lokan? 23 years in Lagos State, what has it battered? How many schools has it built? How many hospitals? How many roads? What has been the benefit to those of us who live in Lagos and call it home? You can paint road, you can go ahead and be doing the expressway, put toll gates, and that's another, but go off the expressways, go into the schools. How many people who benefited from Jakonde schools in this country today, in this state, and even beyond Lagos State? I'm not from Lagos State. I came to Lagos State in 1995. I came in 95. It took, see me, I'm getting old now. I actually came to Lagos State in 1985 to enter LASU. LASU is the fruit of Jakonde's vision. He dreamt it up, he envisioned it, he started it off, he wasn't there anymore. I came, and a whole generation of Lagosians went to LASU. How many of us who went to LASU in that time can send our children back to LASU now? How many secondary schools, how many primary schools? So when people are talking to me about Yoruba, I just look at them like they've become sophisticated morons, just like Nana called them. Sophisticated morons arguing on behalf of your enslavers to validate your enslavement. Exactly what as is hegemony battered either for Lagos State or for the Yorubas themselves. A history of land seizures, avaricious grabs of other people's patrimony. They will be waving the free trade zone as though the free trade zone is a success story. It is a story of avarice. How many communities have been rendered homeless in that place? So you've paid them compensation. Well, look, I don't want, there is a lot about the question. This Tinubu one is personal. I live in Lagos State. Everything I own in the world is in this town. I do not intend to leave this town for anybody. So that one is personal.
Well, let's get this clarity. You made an assertion that there are no clear cuts for Tinubu winning the presidency. I mean, but against all odds, he grabbed his party's ticket.
How happy did his party's president, General Buhari, how happy was he looking? How happy are the lot of those who should be behind him? Look, let's be clear about something.
Yeah.
A man goes to Abeokuta, a generally taciturn man when it comes to the deployment of power. You went to Abeokuta and you started hearing a Milokan, you are hearing a Lei. That was a man ready to capsize the boat. That's my own reading. That the party that had announced a consensus candidate, or unless you are saying that Adamu was just on a frolic of his own, which he couldn't have been. If he now managed to call them out because he had been plotting and waiting, which is the height of the frustrations that brought out a Milokan. The man was speaking honestly when he said a Milokan. They sat in their coven and agreed what to do. What they agreed in their coven, we didn't know until they came outside to start telling us. And the man was emphatic. He said he went to the man. The man was weeping on TV. He went to him. And he said to him, look, we can build an alliance capable of winning this election. You run. And he was to run as the man's vice. But of course, we know sufficiently now that Shola Saraki's ambition for the Senate presidency, and being the wily politician that one is, he could see clearly that if there is a Muslim ticket, his own chances of becoming the Senate president would have been destroyed. So of course, he was one of those who kicked against a Muslim ticket, and they've said sufficient in the public space for us to piece it together. So it is clear that truly, based on the agreements reached within their coven, Emilokan, it was his turn truly. But it was his turn to do what? To carry their party's ticket. Carrying the party's ticket is one thing. Winning the election is another ball game entirely. Are the northern power brokers prepared to trust him with power? That's one. The second thing is this: even if they are willing to trust him with power, is it only the northwest and northeast that makes presidents? And is it the only person they will vote for in the northwest and northeast? They won't vote for their own Atiku. Kwakwanso will not win. Don't forget that in the last election, I believe Atiku lost even in the northeast, which is his own zone. So Atiku would lose again, but this time around he will lose to Tinubu, but he will get some votes. And then come to the north central. Is Tinubu with his Tinubu is actually going to get the people of the North Central to vote for him. The man who was in Ondo State looking for cattle when Sister Funke was killed. They know that for him is about power. Anything is negotiable. He doesn't look when it comes to the actual election. Tinubu would have to understand that even in Yoruba land, we would ask questions of him.
Yeah.
He's not going to have a home run here because we are done with this game of is our turn. Our turn to do what? To enslave? To do what? The only thing that is certain under a Tinubu government, now I'm not talking APC, I'm saying Tinubu as a person, the only thing that is certain is that he will empower all the criminals in the society, all the agberos will take over, they would have immunity from all kinds. Already in Lagos State, we're hearing stories of how Okadas cannot drive, they can't ride if they are not wearing vests, advertising his candidacy. In Lagos State, or agberos will begin to drag them. So that's the level of criminality that is already normal in this space. So when we are talking about when the time comes, election hasn't started. The beauty of the current situation that most people are not paying attention to is the fact that unlike before, the last election, 2019, I believe we had less than 4 months between the emergence of candidates and the actual elections. This time around, we had close to 9 months and we are still 8 months away from the elections. Maybe they are just asking for certificates now. Yeah. And the scrutiny is currently on Tinubu. Scrutiny will soon fall on other persons as well.
Exactly. Let me also take you up on that. I mean, the social media had been agog and ecstatic about Tinubu's certificates, scandal, so to say, as he refused to report the primary school and the secondary school he attended while submitting his form to INEC. And this has actually got a lot of responses and reactions on social media. It's just not now that Tinubu had been dogged with the issue of his certificate. What are your response to these issues?
Here is the thing with this Tinubu certificate. I think because Buhari has lowered the bar, in fact, not just lowered the bar, Buhari has pulverized the bar. We have a president who we know does not have a school certificate. They will tell us he's a general, he attended courses, but so the standard has been destroyed, so anybody can actually aspire. So it's not really about certification. When you begin to demand Tinubu's certificates, these are actually code words for demanding to know who he is. It's not really about certification. Obviously, Mobile would have gleaned some sort of certification that they must have verified before they would have employed him. My imagination. I'm also so useless with figures.
As a matter of fact, there was actually a report that it was prior. There was a report on social media that prior to his some certain verification exercises at Mobile, that was when he decided to resign from Mobile.
Oh, okay. Now this is news to me, but what I do know is this: the demand to see his certificates for someone like me has nothing to do with demanding to know whether he's educated or not. He's obviously educated. But we're in a situation where we're dealing with a man whose name we really don't know, whose date of birth we really don't know. We don't know who went to primary school with him. Nobody knows. Once upon a time, I was told it was GCI, until some people were asking what set he went to GCI with. And then they now started this form filling thing, and they are saying you didn't go to primary school, you didn't go to secondary school. Unknown soldiers carted away your certificates. All these are questions not of certification, but of character.